Okay. At this moment, I would like to have Hilda take her turn with Audric. Then I'd like my other witness to take the stand.
Mr. Fellhausen. And at this point, Hilda does the very, typical pacing back and forth. She's sort of wringing of the hands, and she's just trying to. She can be very overdramatic. So she says, Mr. Fellhausen, based on your words, you claim that the events of that night were rather hazy. Yes, they were hazy. So you cannot exactly tell us with 100% confidence, honestly, that your recollection is completely accurate. And at this point, I think Audric kind of falters a little bit, and she sort of goes up to her and she sort of places her hands in the counter in front of him, and she says, I would like for you to answer me as swiftly as possible, Mr. Fellhausen, because failure to do so makes us think that you are spinning a tale. And Mr. Fellhausen says, I cannot completely guarantee the accuracy of my recollection because I was hit pretty hard on the head on that night. It's hard for me to remember much of anything. But I can clearly remember main details, such as the attack itself. Oh yes, of course. Let us talk about the attack itself then. Based again on your words, it was very, very clear that Miss Guinness did not strike first. She may not have physically struck me first, but I still felt threatened. How so, Mr. Fellhausen? How did she make you feel threatened? She essentially came to me with a group of people and accusing me of something that I didn't do. So, of course, I was very flustered, and she didn't have any proof on her. This marquee was written up, yes, but that in and of itself was not enough proof of the actual act itself. And I, as I said, extricated. You mean you fled? You fled like a coward, perhaps a guilty coward from the scene? I extricated myself from the situation. She followed, which made me feel more threatened, and knowing the reputation of the Winters, I did not. He starting to falter a little bit.
Your Honor, I object.
Under what grounds? The judge
Hilda's
asks.
doing the same thing that she just accused me of. She's trying to lead him into saying that he's guilty, tried to flee, was all this other stuff. It's leading the witness, Your Honor.
Roll the communication investigation again, please, Russo.
Come on, +6.
Okay.
2, 4,
10,
10 14,
16 with
16 with 6 points stun.
Okay. The judge will then turn to Hilda. Mr. Rivia, Mr. Russo gives a very good point. Please allow the witness to speak for themselves. Of course, Your Honor, of course. Mr. Fellhausen, if you would please, she says, I would really like to know, in your own words, what more did Miss Guinness say or do that caused you to feel threatened in a way that forced you to escalate it to violence? You struck at her. She has the wounds to prove it, and you can see that she does seem to have the Guinness does seem to have her right leg seems to still be bandaged up a little bit, and it seems to be healing. And I would like for Russo to roll a cunning, please.
Okay. 9.
I don't think you noticed anything.
Nope.
Roll a medicine roll, Tyrion. or actually any of the healers roll a medicine roll.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's.
It's been a month. The wound would
Been
have
a
long
month.
healed.
Yeah. That's a 19. No, sorry, 20. Hold up, that's 13, 20. My bad.
Yeah, you guys believe. Okay, wait a minute. Like that would have
19.
healed a while.
Yeah.
You definitely would have been like, yeah, that would have healed a while ago. Like something's a little bit off.
I kind of whispered that to the rest of the other group. Like, that wound should have been healed up long ago.
Can we? How close are we to Russo?
Since you guys are not part of the jury, not that close, I sort of foresee you there being some sort of like almost like a balcony. I don't know if you ever saw the movie To Kill a Mockingbird, but like I know that there was sort of like a balcony-ish area.
So we're there.
So you're like above somewhere.
Is there a way to like semi-catch his eye and whisper, "It should have healed"? I mean, it's probably not the best like communication, but you know.
No. Here's what I'm gonna do. If I can catch Russo's eye, I'm gonna look and slowly start unwrapping my bandage and point towards Guinness.
The other question I have is I'm just curious, who went with Russo to talk to Rainier?
Pasha.
Pasha, roll me a cunning, please.
Cunning. That is a 15.
With the 6 points hunt.
Pasha, you remember distinctly that Rainier said that when Audric attacked Guinness, he struck her on her left leg, not her right leg.
Yep. So, as Deatham is doing his thing, Pasha leans over and goes, "They bandaged the wrong leg."
And and then I will so if I can give that first and then also say no right, yes left.
Okay.
Something like that.
Roll a communication.
The second part is probably an afterthought, but the first one I want to still give it like unwrap.
Yeah. I would like for Darethim to roll a communication.
Could I use either deception or etiquette? Like maybe edit, because this is a formal environment and I'm trying to be a little more subtle about...
I will allow that. I will
Okay.
allow it. You can argue the etiquette, sure.
Alright.
I would like for Russo to roll me a perception seeing.
Could be worse. 13.
Okay. Ah, God, I'm rolling so bad.
You're not going to see anything, unfortunately. Sorry. So you're not going to see that, unfortunately. Okay. So you don't catch his eye. So yeah, I think Audric will finally respond and say, "That's honestly all I can recall." I see. Very well. The defense rests then, Your Honor. And with that, I would like to call my witness, Miss Guinness, please, of the Winters. And so Guinness will go. Did you want to say something, Callista?
Yeah.
Out of character?
I was gonna say, Pasha, seeing as Russo doesn't notice, Pasha's gonna lean over to Leon and be like, "Do you have any paper?"
Why, yes, I do. In fact, I've ink.
You're good with those paper airships. Send one to Russo.
Okay, but I'm going to have to move away from the group a little bit just in case I get caught and thrown out.
Wait, what? Cotton thrown out?
You know, for disturbing the court. Because if you're disturbing the court, they'll be like, "Leave, sir."
What's happening?
I'm getting Leon to throw a paper airship at Russo with that in.
All right. Well,
Okay, I'll write it and I'll make a paper airship, and then I'll give Pasha a few more paper airships of blank paper and the quill and pen, and then I'll sneak out a little bit.
are you going... Okay, so if you're going to write onto this paper ship, are you going to do any... So this is a courtroom full of people. Are you going to do anything to make it so nobody sees this random flying paper airship flying through the courtroom?
Can Pasha try and cause a distraction by coughing? Like faking a coughing fit?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, if Pasha's gonna do that, I guess could Daretham as well, because my voice is very distinctive.
Sure.
Can,
I'm sorry, Tommy.
Could I do this as me? Like instead of rolling, could I actually do it?
I would love for you to roll, but...
Well, I mean, when you go start...
Okay. Alright.
I want to mention something because we've been forgetting this rule. Everyone has a -2 check except for Russo.
Everyone has a -2 except for Russo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it would have mattered in any of the situations we've got because I think we've got decent rolls, but just something to mention.
So, okay. So, I do still want Pasha at least to roll with your -2. And if you're going to use your paper airplane, Leon, go ahead and do a ranged attack with a -2 with it.
Can I aim?
Yes, you may.
That gives me a... Okay.
So -1.
My question would be, what would faking a coughing fit?
I would say deception.
Oh, dearie me.
Cunning.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Shit.
I would say deception, -2.
Is deception under cunning or
Communication.
Communication.
This session has been terrible for our rolls.
We're sorry, Russo.
A what?
7.
7. All right. So you both will try to do a coughing fit, and a good number of people will be distracted and look in that direction, but not nearly enough. And Leon will attempt to throw this paper airplane somewhere, and it'll miss. Several people will look at it and think that's really weird. And Hilda will actually look at it and catch a sight of that, and I think that the judge will say, "What was that?"
Can I do a stealth roll?
Yeah.
To, duck under some folk?
Well, we don't want
That's a 9. That's a 9.
No, that's a. Is that including the minus?
Yeah, it's -2. It's always on. It's always on us. No matter what, it's sorry, a 9. What I'm saying.
7.
Yep.
No, it's
11
9. -2.
Oh crap, I can't do math, I'm sorry.
11 minus 2 is 9.
Anyway.
9. All right. Who threw that? The judge says, and all the people that are looking are saying, "Who disrupted my courtroom and threw that piece of paper?" And I'm gonna say one of the people in the crowd raises their hand, and the bailiff will go and the bailiff will say, will go up to the woman and whisper something to her ear, and she will then go over to some of the guards, and the judge will whisper something to the guard's ear.
We might as well not implicate ourselves. I'll raise my hand as well.
Can I sneak out as this is going on?
Yeah, you can sneak out if you'd like, which might be a smart thing to do right now.
Try and run away.
Is that another stealth roll?
Yeah.
If I'm also raising my hand to say I saw someone too, good.
You can, yeah. And so I guess another bailiff or some other official will approach you and say, "Did you see who threw that piece of paper?"
I think it was a younger man, maybe. Had brown or orangish hair, maybe.
Okay, so you give that information.
I got an 8 to
and,
try to leave the courtroom.
Yeah, okay, so you got an 8 to try to leave the courtroom. I'm going to say that one of the guards kind of grabs a hold of you and says, "What are you up to, boy?"
I just really gotta go to the bathroom. This court session is so gosh dang boring.
Roll a deception, please.
Okay.
-2. Those darn -2s.
Oh dear.
This roll also is Finally!
Oh, lovely. So that's
17.
17.
With
So
a
good again.
5.
5 some points.
5 points done. Yeah, you're right.
All right, be quick about it then.
Do I?
Judge Razor runs a tight ship here. Be quick about it.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right. Are you going to the bathroom or are you leaving?
I'm gone.
Probably a good idea.
I'm going to go back and sleep.
It looks like the guards are on a high alert right now. And Judge Razor will say, will kind of pound her gavel, because it looks like a lot of people are talking now with this commotion. And she says, Order, I will have order in my courtroom. Now, she says, if there is another disturbance that occurs, she says, I am going to ask that everyone here who is not a member of the jury or part of the case to exit immediately. Do I make myself clear? Does this Callista, was Pasha going to do
I
something?
was just going to say, as she was banging the gavel to get order, is Russo looking up at us like, what the fuck are you doing?
Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
Could
Why
I
not?
now again do the whole bandage
Yes, roll a communication.
etiquette? Yeah.
-2.
Yes, do another etiquette.
Alright.
Uh,
I'm the fuck on. Work this time. Work.
Roll me a
work.
cunning, Russo.
Okay, so that's gonna be
13.
Oh, fingers crossed.
no,
some good
no,
things
no,
on the
that's gonna be
first.
9.
It's 15 -2, 13.
Yeah, 13.
Come on, Russo.
God. 2.
11 with a 3-point stunt.
Yeah.
I'm literally unwrapping a bandage and pointing at Guinness. I feel like I can't get much clearer than that.
Yeah, but no, I'm gonna say no. He's not
Damn
gonna,
it.
can say sorry. You guys
I'm so sorry I can't roll today.
he'll notice the bandage, but he's not gonna be able to put 2 and 2 together. The cunning is for him to understand what you're trying to say.
He's
just
a
not
bit
getting
too
it.
frazzled right now.
He's not getting it right now.
Yeah, I'm not
All
getting
right.
it.
It was a very good try, guys. So, anyway, things will continue, and Hilda will say, "Can you please describe for us exactly what happened on the night of those events?" And Guinness will say, "Of course I can. I was sent on a very important job by my client to be able to send this marquee to Mr. Fellhausen. He resisted the marquee, fled. I was given permission by the marquis to continue pursuing Mr. Fellhausen, because I do not think he fully understood the terms of this marquis. Then, when we finally caught up to him, he turned around and stabbed me in the leg with a random, I don't remember if it was some piercing weapon, pitchfork, that he might have found in the street, I don't know. But it hurt, and at that point, we had to defend ourselves. So it was, as you said, completely self-defense, indeed. And what had befallen Mr. Fellhausen afterwards, well, under the terms of the Marquis, I had every right to defend myself, and if in the process he got injured, that is more on him, not on me. For he should not have resisted. And I'm going to say that Hilda will continue asking more, but nothing in particular that would add to the case, so then she will say, "No further questions, Your Honor." Mr. Russo, you can cross-examine the witness.
Okay, I know this is a bit of a stretch, but can I get one last cunning roll to see if she, like, overplayed the limp or whatever walking to the...
Yeah, go ahead.
Could he get a +2 because I was doing the thing with the bandages?
Sure. That he can have. Sure.
Alright. God.
You're just... I'm sorry. No, you can't. Yeah.
Nope.
Nope.
Russo didn't have his morning coffee.
Okay, so Guinness, I'll be very quick. You were given this marquee by Janice Markham, correct?
I was, yes.
This order was only given by Janice Markham under the assertion that you were going to retrieve and or be compensated for stolen urns from Mr. Markham's collection. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as you described, Mr. Audric was visibly confused when you approached him and he left. You pursued? Would you have done the same thing if you were being approached with information you didn't know?
If I was guilty of it, I would not run away from it. I would face the consequences of my actions.
And if you weren't and you had no recollection of any of this?
If I weren't, then I would challenge the accusation.
You do understand the kind of presence that a mercenary band closing on one solo individual gives, right?
We're very good and very efficient at what we do. So if we have a reputation for being swift and competent in our line of work, then certainly, yes, I can imagine that one might be intimidated by us. But again, that is not my problem.
No. Then, care to explain after Audric was fallen that you didn't retrieve him and complete the marquee? Why?
I had fully intended to follow up on him as soon as I discovered that he survived our encounter, but the marquee was rescinded, and my services were dismissed. I did not ask why, but I at least was paid for the trouble that I had served my client up to that point.
And, who exactly were you paid by, Guinness?
My employer, of course.
Directly through your employer or representative?
It depends. What do you mean by directly?
Did Mr. Markham give you the payment himself, or did he have someone else pay you?
Well, she says he didn't physically hand me the money, but the money that was given to me was essentially his, to my understanding.
Okay. Can you describe this figure that gave you your payment?
At that, she pauses and she says, I'd never seen him before in my life. Probably around 5'11", 6 foot tall. Was dressed in very dark clothing. Had a goatee. I didn't ask his name, though.
Did he have an accent?
She said he did, but I don't recall what the accent was. It certainly wasn't Navaran.
So you acknowledge that there was a foreign person involved with your dealings.
At that point, she stutters a little bit, and she says, as far as I know, like I said, that money was from my employer. Where he received that money from, it didn't matter, because at the end of the day, the understanding was I was going to be paid by my employer.
I'm trying to think of the right skill to see if I can see that she's deceiving. Would that just be basic cunning?
It to be perception,
Sure.
empathy. If you're trying to see if
Perception,
someone's
empathy.
lying. Yeah.
Perception?
Yeah, empathy.
Alright,
13 with a 6-point stunt.
13 with a 6-point stunt.
Yeah, you're gonna know that she's spinning something. She's telling half-truths here.
Okay.
Yes.
So, you acknowledge that this person, presumably the representative, was foreign in nature, and that you thought this money came from your employer, Mr. Janice Markham.
That was my understanding.
I have some evidence with me to suggest that that was not the case, and that this foreign figure was really your employer that was going through Janice Markham, which means you would have oversended the marquee because the marquee should have never been approved.
At that point, there's gasps in the courtroom. Oh! When people are looking around, again, whispering at each other. And Hilda, for a moment, she looks slightly... Her face doesn't falter completely, but she definitely looks very intrigued. about this evidence that you speak of. So continue.
Honor, if I may, I have a letter that I would like translated by someone that can speak Tavine to be read before the journey. Jerry?
Yes, we can make arrangements for that, and I'm sure they can get an interpreter of some sort to read the document. Your Exhibit A, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Okay. So which document are you giving them first, out of character?
The one that was basically saying that he was orchestrating this to use Audric to redeem.
Oh, the one that actually has Audric's name on it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, the document will be given, and the person will read it and explain about the memoirs, how there seemed to be a candidate. Audric Falhausen was meant to be a candidate of some sort of ritual to be able to take over him as a person, but it failed, and the body was going to be disposed. And there seems to be
as that's kind of happening, like he says ritual and Tavine and stuff, at some point, can I just as a angry member of the crowd shout out, "Fucking blood mages"? Just shout that out.
Yeah, you can.
That's all I want to do. Just shout it out when it's like Tavine ritual, fucking
Right.
blood mages, and that's it.
I'm sure that you will, and of course that will cause a little bit of a ruckus in the court, and I'm sure the judge will have to pound her gavel and call for order in the court again, and
I don't want to do any more because that's probably what I can get away with.
Yes. So go ahead.
And then I have two witnesses after Gennis I would like to be cross-examined. Gennis, I'm done with you. You've done admirably. Thank you. I would like my first witness, Mr. Rainier, to give his recollection of everything and his perception that Audric visibly looked threatened and acted out of self-defense, and he physically saw Gennis meeting with Markham and this other individual. And then I have another witness that I'd like to follow after him after Hilda has her chance that will further collaborate my point.
Mr. Russo will have Rainier, and he actually dressed up a decent bit for this. You're not completely sure if he's 100% sober, but he's not falling over anything, at least.
So, Mr. Rainier, you were privy to a good bulk of the events that happened on that night. Is that correct?
Are you saying that I saw what happened?
Yes, I am.
I saw the fight, if that's what you're talking about.
Can you please describe the final interaction that you saw between Gennis and Audric?
Yeah, I saw that guy, he says, pointing at Mr. Falhausen, running away. He looked scared out of his wits. I don't know what it was that he was running away from at first. Saw him grab, I guess it was a random pitchfork or something in the street. Then I saw that chick up there run after him with another guy, and and he went for her and stabbed her in her left leg. I would like for Russo to roll a perception scene, please.
Can I please have advantage?
Yes, you can have advantage. Perception
With all the
scene.
stuff we've
Dear
been doing,
God.
come on!
Dear God, come on, Russo, you
Come
can do this.
There's one.
It's just a fist pumping, yes. Finally.
3, 5, 10, 11, 6.
They're both 11.
They're both 11, but one's got a 5 point
But he
stun.
literally just said it!
He literally
Alright.
just said it. I feel like it's
He
too
literally
obvious
just
at
said
this
it.
point.
I'm gonna say it's pretty obvious that he said
Really?
left leg. Yes, go ahead.
And I'd like the jury to please take note that Gennis has the opposite leg bandaged today.
They have, again, more gasps from the audience. And at that point, Hilda, starts to scratch her cheek a little bit as if she might be a little nervous. Just a little nervous.
And then, can you please describe the other situation that you saw Miss Gennis in after the fact?
Yeah, she was with this Duke, which I guess it was the Duke Janus. I presume it was the Duke Janus. And at that point, Hilda is going to, raise a flag on that because, he's making a presumption, and I think the judge will allow that. So Rainier will continue and say, and there's this other guy, pretty much the way that she described him, 6 foot tall. He was in robes of some sort, shrouded. Didn't get a good look at his face, but I saw something of a goatee on him. And they were having some sort of transaction. Saw the guy with the goatee pass a coin purse of something to the Guinness chick.
This figure has remained mysterious, but I would like to implore that this figure is an ex-noble from far away. And as we can see, he had an agenda with Mr. Fellhausen. I would like to push forward the case to you that this person was the ex-Archon Radonus, and that he orchestrated this, and that since I've started investigating this case, me and my team investigating it has been under extreme danger and scrutiny. My apartment was broken into. My friend got mutually burned investigating. In public property, by the way. Then, I would also like to point out that this figure was identified as an Archon Radonus by the person I would like to call next after Hilda has her chance. I have no further questions.
At this point, Hilda will take over and ask, just to, again, in the interest of time, I will say that Hilda is going to try to, she's going to try to discredit Rainer's account as much as possible, and will pretty much try to play up that he's been known to have a little too much to drink sometimes, and because he's had a little bit too much to drink sometimes, she actually is probably going to ask him what he was doing earlier that day, actually. And he will basically tell him that he was, partying a little bit that night. And she asked, how, were you drinking during this partying? Yeah, I was drinking. How much would you say? I don't know. So enough for you to not even remember how much you drank. So because of this, you claim that you saw something, but based on what you've said, it seemed like you have had a history of alcoholism in the past. Can you say with 100% confidence that the things that you've witnessed that night are 100% accurate?
Your Honor, I object.
Under what grounds, Mr. Russo?
This
Hilda
line
asks.
of questioning is basically a character smear against my client's word, which I'd normally be against, but given the time, I wouldn't be against. But given the time frame that this happened months ago, who realistically at a party could remember how many drinks they had, or if they were far over it? This seeks to do nothing but undersea the entire belly of this proceeding.
Roll a communication investigation. Don't roll low. Russo.
Please do not roll low, me.
Don't roll low.
Okay.
13.
13 with a 2-point stunt. So average.
Okay. I will just give you a warning on this one, then Miss, she says to Hilda. And she'll continue her questioning. But I'm gonna say that by that point, the damage he was trying to do is done. That they're not really sure how much they can take Rainier by his word, completely. So she will end her questioning and will then bring up her own witness. And I think that her next, I guess her next witness will be the Duke himself, and the Duke Janus. She will basically ask him about, the conditions of the contract, and she will, speak to her about who this figure was, and he will just say it's just somebody that is really of no particular interest in this case. He is merely a comrade of his that owed him some money unrelated to this case, and he figured since his friend was paying him back anyway, he could easily just turn around and give that as payment to Guinness instead of having to go through the banks, like go through the trouble having to deposit in a bank and then just to take it out of the bank again. So that was his explanation, and if Russo wants to cross-examine the witness of the Duke, he may.
Sure. I'm gonna get up. Thank you for coming today, Mr. Markham. It's an honor to be in someone's presence as prestigious as yours.
I appreciate it.
So, this figure that you say was paying you back, do you have a name for them? Because I feel like if they were a close friend, you would.
Since, as I said, this person had nothing to do with this case, I do not feel that it is right of me to simply just throw a name out there. I don't think that he would appreciate being a part of a case like this if he has nothing to do with it.
I would argue au contraire, simply because him paying you back was the payment given to Guinness, and this has been established and cross-examined. So because he was the paying party, he is involved.
Fine. His name is Riedrick. Riedrick Covington.
And did you bring this Mr. Riedrick Covington with you?
To where?
To the case.
No, because he was not involved in any way, shape, or form. Why would I?
Okay. I would like to implore that this name is a very shroud cover-up for the party that me and everyone else knows involved. And I would like to refer to my next witness. I have no further questions for you.
That's it?
Yep.
Well, that was easy. And with that, the Duke's going to leave the stand. Callista, go ahead.
As he's leaving, Pasha's just going to lean up to, one of the other, not a party member, someone else who's sat in the thing, and she's just, I've heard that Duke Janus fucks goats with mana from the Morn Watch. Have you heard that?
Can I catch on doing in whisper?
Yeah, roll a communication. Roll a communication.
Can I make a communication deception? Do that to the person on the opposite side?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Communication persuasion?
Yeah, persuasion is fine too.
That is 11.
Oh, that's
okay.
a 11, 13, 15 with a 1 point stunt.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that
-2.
Pasha's side of the room, they probably are like, oh, really? Like, it doesn't really seem to go anywhere with I'm gonna say with Darethim.
My cousin said it, so it's a little more personal something.
So how much is it total with the -2 penalty?
Oh, with -2 it's 13, but with a 1 point stunt.
Okay. There's a little bit more traction on your side. I don't know how much it'll actually affect the outcome, but there's some things going on. There's some buzzing about goats. Yes, so we're going back to Russo for his next witness.
My next witness, I'd like to call Manfred to the stand.
At this point, the courtroom silences a little bit, and the judge says, "Does Manfred have a last name?"
He is the Marquis Advisor. He's found there every day. He's Queen Antonia's personal assistant.
There definitely is going to be a lot of buzz, as I'm assuming you had invited Manfred to come, so Manfred will take the stand, and he just kind of surveys the audience a little bit, but his eyes will stay glued to you, Mr. Russo.
Thank you for making the journey out here, Mr. Manfred. I know you're a very busy man advising the Queen and looking over all the marquees. It's fair to say that you examine every marquee submitted, yes?
He will nod slowly.
And that you judge all marquees under strict criteria that would allow them to be approved, correct?
He will nod slowly.
The marquee involved here was done under very flimsy circumstances, but was still examined and passed because there was no reason to deny it, correct?
He will nod slowly.
And you personally remember seeing Archon Radonis come in with Janus Markham when he filed his marquee.
He will nod.
And then I will basically pull up a book. Is it fair to say he'd have that book that he pulled out to identify Radonis and go to a portrait of him and be like, are you certain without a doubt it was this man with you?
He will nod.
I rest my case.
Hilda seems to be a little creeped out by Manfred. She gets up and you see that she's starting to muster her courage a little bit. And she will say, Your Honor, I have no questions to ask of this witness. Is there anything else of note before you get to your final statement?
I would like to call one final witness to the stand. Tyrion Seedoff.
I stand up. Everyone kind of sees Tyrion dressed in probably fine clothing, and currently he has wearing gloves in his hand, and he sits on the witness stand.
I'll very slowly help him into the seat.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrion, you came onto this case as the advisor that I had approved. And it's fair to say that you've been working with me on this pretty significantly over the last 24 to 36 hours.
That is correct, Sir Russo.
Now, can you tell me where this note that you retrieved during investigation and that we had verified and approved came from?
Yeah, Tyrion kind of gives you a look and he kind of says, note was found among a chest that was under that, as far as me that I know, and I can somewhat verify this, it was in the possession of the Archon himself. This, are you asking if you want to know where it was found?
Yes, I would like you to tell everyone the specific location you found it and the tribulations you had to go through to get it.
Tyrion nods. This was found underground in the necropolis.
Is it fair to say that during your travel through the necropolis that you and multiple other people with you confirmed the use of blood magic?
That I can confirm 100%. Yes, blood magic was used.
And this circle that's referenced in this letter is still down there in the same chasm that could be visited today.
Yes, it can.
And it's fair to say, given what happened to you last night, that this was information never meant to be found.
You are correct. Yes.
I would like you to show the jury what happened to you last night.
As I was investigating the chest I was looking inside, I revealed my gloves, my hand, my burnt hand, to the jury and to the people. The chest had a trap on it. One that blew up me. Though I have survived, I have suffered greatly, as you could see.
Okay.
And if anyone is curious about the burn marks, those are high-level degree burns, and I'm a certified doctor to know that.
And you can confirm that someone broke into my residence, given the marks on the locks and damage within my office.
That I can confirm. Yes, the work was one of an amateur picklocker. I can confirm that.
And they left very obvious clues and details.
That I can confirm.
Thank you, Tyrion. Hilda, if you wish to speak to my advisor, the floor is yours.
Just a few questions, Mr. Sedov. First of all, you said that you are a certified doctor.
Yes.
What sort of certifications do you have? Do you have some documentation that would certify that someone of your, if you excuse me saying background, she's referring to you being an elf, because elves are normally not doctors normally.
Yeah.
So, could you provide some documentation on your certification?
I kind of say while I am not a doctor on paper, I am a doctor as a wonder, and I have confirmation from fellow comrades, and also I work for Master Ignaldo of the circus as a local doctor for his circus, and he can provide you that I have worked and assisted his crew.
So you're not a doctor on paper, you say?
Yes, but I have skills enough that, as I said, Master Ignaldo can confirm that.
I see. Okay. So, Mr. Tyrion, if you put yourself in this situation and you are a defendant to this crime, and if I were to say to you that, I can defend you, Mr. Sedov, but I'm not necessarily a lawyer per se, not on paper, but, I helped out with, random lawyery things with this guy at a circus a few times.
I object.
Under what grounds, Mr. Russo?
Regardless of if the certification's proven to be false or not, the statistics confirmed can't be denied. He does have severe burns on his hands. The circle's still there ready to be observed, and the note was written by another handwriting than his. So regardless of if Hilda's correct or not, it's an irrelevant line of questioning.
Very well. I'll move on to something else completely then, Hilda says. So, I understand that you claim that this other individual is none other than the ex-Archon Rhodonis himself. None of these documents, this proof that you have provided, have actually called him by name, however. How do we know that it is indeed Master Rhodonis specifically?
I was gonna be like, the staff.
Simply, yes, Mr. Manfred has claimed that he has seen Master Rhodonis, but the missing piece here is whether or not you can prove that he himself was the one who actually wrote these manuscripts that call Mr. Fellhausen by name, refer to Fellhausen by name.
Other than the fact that in the memoir document, the way it was written and who said it seems to tell the story of Sir ex-Archon Rhodonis himself, that was his past. There's also the staff that was found in the chest.
Staff? There was never any mention of any staff.
As far as me and my team recovered, we had recovered a certain staff.
At this point, Hilda says, and you're saying that this staff has Mr. Rhodonis' name on it? Or something that identifies him as the owner?
The staff's kind of turn things toward how to describe it. The staff's power, the resonate from it, its craft and use had the power of Rhodonis, the skill level of an Archon.
That doesn't prove that it was actually him involved in this, though.
Then kind of thinks about it. An Archon is a powerful Magister, am I correct? There's not many Magisters who have such power as an Archon.
Not very many, no. But I can assume that there are many mages in general who can be as powerful as the Archon. I don't have any further questions, Your Honor, at this point, and Hilda will dismiss you.
I can stand up and I can look at Russo and can give him a nod.
Yeah, give a nod like we've done the best we can. Let's close it up.
All right.
I mean,
So,
there is also a mage in the audience, but
I'm a witness. If you would like to give your closing statements, Mr. Russo, you may.
In closing, I would like to say that regardless of how the jury may feel and what Miss Hilda de Rivia has brought up, there's more than enough to question just the validity of this marquee. And then it's also rather suspicious that the marquee was rescinded right after the first confrontation. Normally when it comes to this thing, property and confiscation's handled to the fullest degree, and it makes no sense why the matter would be left untouched for a month at a time. The other thing I'd like to point to is that I have brought multiple witnesses that have identified Mr. Radonis, and a lot of damning evidence to suggest that he was involved with this, if not confirmed. I'd like to think if we can't trust the Queen's personal advisor on this matter, that he was there and involved and helped with it, then who can we trust? And I can confirm without a doubt that there has been an attempt on me and my friend's lives investigating this, just for peering into the winners and their inner workings, and even daring to observe a noble family. So I'd implore you to ask, do you really want to support a status quo that's just going to cover up your rights and your justice, and not do right by someone who was wronged with no real reason to be?
I'm going to say that after that, the room will be. It's not going to be an applause, but you can still feel a sense of respect, I think, from the people in there, and a lot of the things that Russo said seem to carry a lot of weight. And then Hilda will get up, and again, in the interest of time, I'm just going to just paraphrase and summarize. Her attempt is just going to try to sway the jury in the understanding that basically there is just lack of solid evidence. A lot of things are circumstantial at best, and there is still not enough proof that anything from the marquee was done incorrectly or improperly, and a lot of the witnesses that Russo had asked to come to the stand, the source of these witnesses in terms of accuracy is come to question. And so, she's just imploring them that if you want, true justice, don't just point your fingers randomly unless you have, solid enough proof of what you're talking about and things like that. So that's basically the gist of what she's saying. The judge will say, a decision has been made, she says, to do further investigations of this circle and chamber in the catacombs of the necropolis as described by Mr. Russo. And after we get information from that investigation, we will reconvene here again, and I will give my final judgment. So, everybody is dismissed. Hilda she sticks around to gloat, but she actually is just gonna rush herself and her client out of there as quickly as possible, because she doesn't seem to be interested in talking to you, unless you stop her.
I might chase her down in a sec, but I want to take a moment to collapse in my chair,
You did a great job, Mr. Russo, Audric says. Thank you so much.
I just hope it was enough for your sake, Audric. Because if we fail, we've angered a lot of big people. Out of character, would it be fair to say that Balin was in the room?
Would you want your son to be in the room? I guess he could be if you want him to be.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Maybe Balin was sitting with the rest of your group, because that would make sense. And at some point, At some point, I think Balin is going to look up towards Darethim and say, Mr. Darethim, what is it about goats that you were talking about?
And Darethim will stop. Just that, sometimes people can be very strange, especially when goats are involved.
Strange? But I love goats. They're good animals.
Yes, they are. Just some people are very, very weird.
Some people, Nathan says, might love goats a little too much. Nathan says. How can you love goats too much?
Come on, babe.
He looks at Pasha.
Father, let's go see your father. Tell him how good a job he did. Like, oh.
Oh boy. Mr. Russo, you will hear a voice call out, Daddy, 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 did we win?
I'm gonna kneel down to, like, hug him. I hope so, son.
The judge was really scary.
Unfortunately, with matters this serious, being scary's almost necessary.
Tyrion gives a sigh. I hope I did my best to answer everything there.
Tyrion, you did fine. This case was stacked against us. I mean, god dang, we had 36 hours to get it all together. I'm surprised they accepted my dossier the morning of.
Well done.
I don't know.
Truly done.
Yeah. You did well.
Well, Nathan says, I think this calls for a celebration, or at least something to pass the time before a final verdict is received.
I suggest a respite, yes, for a bit.
We're all a bit tired.
Sleep would be good.
A nap would probably be good this afternoon after we get a bite to eat, yes.
Well, I'd say you all deserved it.
So, you guys will spend the rest of the day probably grabbing a bite to eat, just chatting, maybe nothing about the case at all. So, probably is a good thing for you guys to just talk about other things. Maybe talking about how amazing Valor was the other day, and riding, and all that good stuff. And then the following morning, the judge, everyone will arrive again, and the judge will provide her final verdict. And she says, we have accomplished our heavy investigations. The chamber that Mr. Russo specified was indeed found, and it was essentially found the way that he had described it. It certainly appeared that someone had been staying there and squatting in the necropolis. We checked with the Mortalitasi, and nobody was supposed to be in that side of the chamber at all. So whoever was staying there at the time was doing so unlawfully. Furthermore, we cross-examined the documentation that was presented to us, and the handwriting of these manuscripts did seem to match the handwriting of the ex-Archon Redonis. Therefore, we believe that there is enough evidence to suggest that the terms of the Marquis have essentially become null and void. And I'm sorry to say, Miss Guinness, that means that the amount that was paid to you will have to be returned. And Guinness does not look happy about that either. And she instinctively slams her fist a little bit. And at that, the judge glares at her, and she says, Miss Guinness, do you have something to say to the court? Or do you have something to say to me? Either with your words or your fist, she asks disapprovingly. And Guinness will try to calm herself down and says, no, Your Honor, nothing, Your Honor. And then she will continue. the rest of her verdict, and therefore she says, "It is also my understanding that the Archon Rodonis is still at large. We have waited and waited to see if he has shown his face, and will continue monitoring that particular chamber to see if he ever does appear. If he does, I have given strict orders to have him apprehended, and we will be able to have a second trial for crimes against Mr. Fellhausen for attempted murder. At that point, Mr. Fellhausen, it is up to you if you decide to continue having counsel with Mr. Russo, or if you'd like to choose to have somebody else represent you, but we will cross that bridge once we get to it. Any questions? Good. Case dismissed. And you guys will go off, and there'll be some applause.
I'm gonna give like a little like bow, like thank you, Judge, and then slowly walk Audric and everyone else in my pen out of the room.
Mm-hmm. I feel that I can finally rest. Well, Audric can finally rest. He says that as an aside. To you.
Well, for what it's worth, Audric, I'm happy I could have helped you with it. I do think that you should still tell his family what really happened.
I've thought about that, and I ultimately think you are right. I don't know how they will receive it. They may not necessarily accept it, but it is something that I believe I should not be hiding from them. How about yourself? What happens if the Archon never gets caught? I worry about you personally and your safety. If word goes out that you exposed him to this crime, I just think about yourself and the safety of your son.
Well, thankfully for me, it looks like my time in Navarre has come to a close, Mr. Fellhausen. And I knew the risks involved. Unfortunately so, I had some things appear that make staying here not really logistically feasible, though if you request my counsel, I'll make it a point to come and finish this case for you.
Only if they actually apprehend the man, and that he is in incarceration.
I think that's wise.
I don't know when the next time you will meet, Mr. Russo, but just know that if you need anything, if I can be of help at all, you have a friend here still in Navarra.
I appreciate that, and I'll open up for like a small hug if he's willing. Like I get he's a little like not there, so it depends on him.
Yeah. He will give you a hug.
Before I leave, I'm gonna basically put my hand on his shoulder and just say, as best you can, Audric, take care of yourself. And I hope to see you again.
With that, Audric will leave. And as he's leaving, you actually will catch a sight of Manfred in the distance. And there's actually a lot of hullabaloo because the Queen Antonia herself is now with Manfred, along with several guards people. It looks like she has arrived just to determine the results of this specific case. For some reason, she seemed to be interested. Maybe it's just because her attendant was a part of being one of the witnesses of it, but you're not sure if there's anything else beyond that.
I'm gonna take a look from the distance, and I know Manfred's not really like mentally there, but give a nod like thanks, and then I'm gonna turn to Balin and hold his hand and be like, let's go find everyone else.
Okay, Daddy. Oh, Daddy.
Yes?
Can we have a goat?
Why do you want a goat?
And then he says, well, I heard Mr. Daretham talking about goats, and it made me think maybe Mr. Anton would want to have a goat added to the circus. They can do tricks like eat garbage.
Oh no.
And butthead people, and maybe you can ride one. Can you ride goats? What's so funny, Daddy?
Nothing. It's just I'm thinking about one offhanded detail Daretham told me. I'll tell you what, let's focus on the pets we have now with Mr. Athon and focus on riding that griffin first.
Oh yes. And you guys will walk off into the sunset. Da. End of the session. Okay. Well done, everyone.
Ooh.
Awesome job, Tommy.
Thank you. I was unbelievably nervous about everything going into that.